International Earth Day, which occurs on March 20th this year, was initiated to make people aware of their responsibility to care for the planet. International Earth Day was founded by John McConnell of Davis City, Iowa. In 1970, he wrote an Earth Day proclamation, which was ultimately signed by the UN Secretary General on March 21st, 1971. What do you think is the most pressing problem facing the Earth today, and what are some things we can do to correct the problem? Carl?
Well, thank you, Mr. Table Topics Minister, for asking me that question. This is a question that comes up from time to time, and we have to deal with. But I think the most pressing problem is climate change, specifically global warming. Now, there are arguments about exactly how much warming is occurring and what the causes are of this warming, but the fact is that it's occurring. And if we do nothing, then there are going to be some demographic changes in this world in the next 100 to 200 years that are not going to be very pleasant. If the sea level were to rise, say, 50 feet, there are a number of countries that would be in pretty bad shape, like Bangladesh. What are you going to do with 100 million people in Bangladesh, where the highest elevation is something like 3 feet above sea level, and they're going to have to move somewhere? Where are they going to go? And the people in charge of nations and in the United Nations and in charge of countries need to come to grips with these global issues about how we adapt to the impact of global warming. We already know in the Arctic, for example, that the temperature has warmed up so much in the Arctic that the permafrost is starting to melt. And this impacts everything from cities where they have built buildings based on permafrost being there, and if it's not there, then suddenly there's this muck and mire that these buildings are going to sink into. Well, what about the Alaska pipeline, for example? What happens if permafrost disappears up there? We've already seen changes in our climate around the world. Areas that used to get more rain, getting less rain. Areas that got less rain, getting more rain. What does this do to the crops? What does this do to the feeding of the increasing population on the planet? So there are many, many issues that need to be addressed, but they need to be addressed globally. Turning down your lights at home by yourself is not going to change global warming. But collectively, we can all make a difference.